Try asking your parents or any other working American whether they enjoy paying taxes, and I'm willing to bet the answer will be no. But then ask them if they would prefer to live in a country that did not tax its citizens at all. The answer will probably be no once again. You see, for every dollar that your mom or dad earns, a portion of it will actually never reach their hands because it goes straight to the government as taxes. And the more money you make in this country, the more money you have to pay in taxes. That's the bad news. But the good news is that the government takes America's tax dollars and puts them to good use. Public transportation is funded by tax dollars. Roads, highways, and interstates are maintained and kept smooth, not bumpy, with tax dollars. Public education, healthcare, police departments, fire departments, prisons, all of these things are built and maintained with tax dollars. And that's why no one would want to live in a country that doesn't tax its citizens. Now, if you're still sore on the idea of taxes, consider the influence that every American citizen has on his or her government. You can think of our right to vote for a political candidate, become a political candidate, and express our opinions on a variety of political issues as what we receive in exchange for our tax dollars. We may be taxed, but we're also well represented in government. Our interests, our opinions, our preferences shape government as it is today. Now come with me back in history to the 1700s when the British Empire had established 13 little colonies in North America. And at the beginning, these colonies were like babies, children of the British Empire. But they were beginning to grow up, and to grow up fast, and if you know anything about growing children and adolescents and teenagers, they really don't like being told what to do. But that's exactly what was happening in the colonies. Even as they were becoming more mature, more developed, and more sure of themselves and their identity, the British government, at least from their perspective, was bossing them around, forcing them to obey certain laws without letting them influence those laws and have a say in the matter. For instance, in 1763, the British Empire won a ton of new land in North America from the French. Colonists in America, however, were prohibited from settling on a huge portion of that land. Many American colonists, being British citizens, enjoyed their daily cup of tea. The British government, however, forced them to buy only tea from British tea sellers, not tea from anybody else. Because of the Stamp Act, which is another word for law, colonists had to pay extra taxes on paper goods like playing cards, letters, envelopes, etc. Other laws imposed special taxes on any goods the colonists needed to import or bring in from other countries. Finally, British government even required that colonists in America host British soldiers on their property and give them to eat and drink from their own pantries and personal supplies. Now think back with me to the beginning of this video. Your parents may lose some of their hard-earned money as taxes to the government, but in exchange, they have a say in that government. They can vote. They can influence policy and laws. That's exactly what was missing from this picture. Parliament was and still is the name of the governing body in Great Britain that produces laws. Guess how many American colonists were represented in Parliament? Yeah, 0. Many colonists sensed a deep unfairness in this situation. Here was Parliament and the King telling them what to do, issuing act after act, and forcing them to pay taxes to the government and not giving them any representation in it. Taxation without representation became a sort of chorus among those colonists who did think the British had gone too far. Tension rose rather quickly, because as more and more colonists became upset at Great Britain, the British government, especially King George III, became more and more angry with these colonists for acting out of line. King George did believe, after all, that they were British subjects and had no choice but to obey. On the contrary, many colonists just got more creative with their disobedience. When Great Britain lowered prices on its tea and raised taxes on everybody else's tea, thereby forcing the colonists to buy British tea, many colonists just quit drinking tea. They'd rather have no tea than be forced to buy British tea. This is a strategy called boycotting, which means to refuse to do business with someone as a way of protesting against them. In other cases, colonists got downright violent, attacking British soldiers stationed in the colonies and destroying British property. No longer just babies of Mother Britain, as we put it earlier. These grown-up American colonies were facing quite a dilemma. On the one hand, they were British subjects and therefore owed their allegiance to the British Empire and its laws. But on the other hand, those laws were feeling more and more outrageous, and they didn't get the sense that the king or parliament were listening to them. Overwhelmed with the weight of this decision, colonial leaders called a very special and very long meeting in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, called the First Continental Congress. Delegates or representatives from all over the colonies attended to put their heads together and decide what to do about this mess.